Hey everybody, good afternoon. Hope you have your cup of coffee. I just realized as my head is pounding, I forgot to bring my cup of coffee. That's probably why I have a pounding head. We're going to be talking today about passion. Do you have a passion? Do you pursue your passion? Do you have the time, the energy, the money, the resources, the babysitting perhaps, to actually pursue that passion? And how do you balance pursuing your passion, but at the same time, making sure that you're following through with all the responsibilities that you have? I'm not talking about passion necessarily at work, although absolutely our career is part of this. I'm just talking about passion in general. And one of the queens of passion, who has done a lot to pursue hers, is author Samantha Kris. She's written the best-selling book, Bossing Up. She's a good friend of mine as well, and she's also an international speaker. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Steph. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So, Samantha, define passion for me. I mean, probably we all have different definitions, but what would you call passion?
Oh my goodness. So there's a quote that I heard. Are you familiar with Arlene Dickinson?
Yes.
She's one of the dragons in Dragon's Den.
Yes.
So it's not passion specifically, but something she said that has resonated so deep with me was success is when the height of your dreams matches the depth of your soul, which is like, oh my gosh. And so when I think of passion, when I think of success, and when I think of those paths merging, it is about like what is truly at the depth of my soul? What is it that makes me want to wake up in the morning? What is it that I think about when I go to sleep? And that truly like ignites a fire in me throughout the day.
What I love about that quote is you didn't even say anything about success. You
Well,
know,
it
like,
was, yeah, it's true. I
it,
mean, it's her definition of success, but it's not an integral part of the quote.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's maybe where people kind of get tripped up a bit, is that somehow passion has to be equated with like monetary gain or something that comes at the end of it. And it's not necessarily about that. It's about feeding our soul and feeling fulfilled deep down.
That's exactly it. I love that. Nailed it.
Well, then I should be the international bestseller and author.
You can have it. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so talk to me about how people find a passion, right? So first, let's just talk about personal passion. And I know for everybody, it's going to be totally different. And all of us have a lot of challenges. I'm a working mom. I have two kids. I have those responsibilities, and those are priorities. They have to be priorities because my kids depend on me. So it's harder to find even a passion in that situation. And some people, I think, just don't even know what excites them. Like, where do you begin to figure out, okay, what excites me?
Yeah, I think you really kind of started to unearth some of that there, because where I will always recommend everyone to start is just acknowledging what is it that you actually want, because so many of us are pursuing this imposed version of happiness or success or what we think will fill our cup based on what we're seeing in the media, friends and family, just other people's social media. And so just getting down to business and understanding like what actually makes you happy. What are some of the things you do in your life that replenish your energy as opposed to deplete it? And perhaps you're not doing them in your day to day, but what are some of those things in which you can integrate on a more regular basis that will bring some of that joy, that will bring some of that excitement and curiosity? If it's something that sparks further wanting to learn or refine your skills or to just explore, I mean, I think that's a good start in understanding, okay, there's something here. There's something that may be worth seeing if it could be something I'm into. And I don't think enough people try new things. And so I think, A, getting clear on what it is that makes you happy, and B, making time for new experiences and really tuning into, um, does this resonate? Does this vibe with me? And if so, make that more part of your daily routine.
One of the things there's two things that you said that really clicked with me. One is replenishing energy. And I think
Mm,
that's a really nice way to start the thought process is, what are the things that make me feel alive?
right.
And it might surprise you because in your mind you might think, oh, this is what I want for my career, and then you realize it's just this feeling like work the whole time. It's not actually making you feel alive. So maybe there's not a passion underneath that, or even like with an activity or something. the
Yeah.
other talk, the other piece you mentioned is tuning in, and I think that's something really important too, is we have to find time to just sit still, be present in those moments and feel what it is that's actually happening around us, actually feel it, because that's going to give us insight, and it might surprise us at what actually feels good than what we think is being imposed on us, like you mentioned, that those impositions.
Yeah, totally. I think we need to take stock of our environment, of our home, our work, the people that we surround ourselves with, the projects that we engage in, and just really understand where are you putting your energy first, and then really start to assess, is this a worthwhile investment of my energy, because it's you're not getting that time back. And so you want to make sure that it's being spent and given to projects and people and things that help you feel alive, like you said, that spark that kind of je ne sais quoi.
Exactly, what makes you feel alive. And I think that part of the challenge for a lot of people is not having maybe resources even to pursue what it is that they love or what they think they might have an interest in. Because one of the things you mentioned was just, be open to new activities. Well,
Right.
you can go on social media and go, that looks fun to try, that looks fun to try. And then all of a sudden you find at the end of the month you've spent $800 on trying new
Guilty.
classes and courses and things like that.
Yeah.
So do you have any suggestions on some way to like maybe whittle down a bit where somebody should start?
There are so many free online communities and even in person, right? I mean, part of what I really love about the Bossing Up community, and this is not a shameless plug, this is because I didn't know what I wanted and what genuinely made me happy. What I knew is that where I was no longer serving me, and I needed something different. And I wanted to be surrounded by different people who were motivated, who were engaged in what they were doing, and could really help bring people to that level as well. And I couldn't really find it. Not that it doesn't exist. I just didn't know where to look. And so my solution was to create it, was to start a community where people can come together, where they can share resources, share experiences, ideas, and most importantly, real talk. I mean, this isn't a place to come, it's not a message board where you just promote what you're working on. It is about sharing experiences and sharing what's worked, what doesn't, and what have we most importantly learned, and how can we reroute moving forward. And so that's been instrumental in keeping me in check, understanding what other people are doing, where they're going for help, um, whether it's bursaries or companies or other people who have just been so helpful on their journey. Having exposure to that has been really helpful in just opening my eyes to things that I otherwise would have never tried, or people or organizations that I would have never known.
You're making such a great point, Samantha, is that we need to be open to people who aren't what we think, or who aren't like us necessarily. Because even though I'm an entrepreneur, right, and I've always had my own business, I joined that group, but like I didn't even realize, I don't even think that I was an entrepreneur until I joined that group and realized, oh yeah, I've had my own business for a long time. And you and I met through that community. And I
I
don't know
love
that
it.
I would have sought out someone who is in the world of business coaching to become a good friend of mine. Like I wouldn't have sought that person out thinking that we had something alike. So I think you're
Same.
really making a very good point, is that we need to open our exposure up to non-like-minded people as well as like-minded people to spark some of those interests. Now,
Absolutely.
what about when people have limits, for example, time limitations? So, the working mom, or people who are, let's say, trying to pursue business on the side, but they already have a full-time business, and there's lots of these time limitations. How can we move around that to still devote valuable time and energy into our passion, but understanding that we have a responsibility on the side?
So I think what a lot of people, or where a lot of people get stuck, is this long to-do list. And so what two main takeaways actually I had from my own workshop, which is, I love what I do because I learn from the people just as much as I'm able to, help on their paths as well. And so one of the women, Eleni, she was there and she said, what if you transformed your to-do list into a ta-da list? And so it no longer becomes this daunting tasks of things that you need to do, but rather start celebrating the things that you're accomplishing, that you're checking off. The ta-da, it's complete. And so shifting the focus and really how you're the self-talk and how you're just getting through that list and celebrating those small wins gives you the energy to get to the next one, I think is part of it. There was Mark Perez also brought up a really great point of we get so bogged down by all the things on this list, and we we kind of stress ourselves out before we even start. But his suggestion, which I really, really love, is start with the one that will yield the biggest return. And this is, it may be all the way down at the bottom of your list, but you know that if you can invest perhaps 20 minutes, even an hour, but it will save you 3 hours during the week, or it will, eliminate some of the anxiety or the stress that you're having that's causing you to pause on the rest of the ones on your list, it will actually put you into this state of momentum that you don't want to stop once you're in there, once the ball is rolling. And so being mindful and aware of how your energy and your time is being spent, and strategically spending it so that, again, it replenishes that energy. It fills your tank a little bit more to go that extra mile, I think are two pretty impressive tools that I'm so grateful I got from my attendees.
Yeah, and that just speaks actually, Samantha, number one, to you and just being so open that you're here to learn from others as well. But it speaks to the point we made before about exposure, is that we're never going to know it all. And so we have to be listening and being open to listening to what others have to say. I just want to say I need my glasses for this. So social connection for older adults, she says, thanks for talking about this topic. She's grateful she found her passion. I think this is Arlene. I think it might be Arlene, just this social connection for older adults. But I think this is Aileen actually, who's speaking. But anyway, she's been able to find her passion for her work and integrate it into motherhood. She says she's been able
Wonderful.
to do good for her. What about like limitations, or when we should know that enough is enough? Because we all might have passions, we all might have pursuits that we want to endeavor on, but at some point we also need to let it go and know that it's not going to work. And for me, that's more like a business thing. Like as you know, I'm passionate about the flying trapeze. I've already given up that I won't be in Cirque du Soleil. I know that's not happening, and that's fine. I found a way to pursue my passion without becoming a professional trapeze artist.
Right.
That's fine. But in the business world, sometimes people have an idea or a passion of where they should be, putting all of their energy, and they just go and go and go, and pretty soon they're depleted. They're out. Oh, sorry, let me find this phone call. Sorry about this. They're depleted. They're out of energy. They're out of resources, and they went too far. Like, how do you know when, okay, this passion that I think I'm going to make into a business has gone a little bit too far and I need to stop?
So I think it's such a great conversation, and one that perhaps a little selfishly, I'm a little biased in my response. So I've got the real goal methodology, and it is kind of my Bible. It is how I decide which projects to work with or work on, and what I really want to take on and really invest my energy and my resources, money included, into it. And it'll always go through these four pillars, or the four check boxes, right? Does it resonate? Does it really align with my core values and who I am as a person? Does it empower me? So REAL being an acronym, REAL. So R is resonance, E is empowering. So does it empower me? Do I still wake up in the morning excited to tackle this challenge, to pursue it, to really see it through to the end? Actionable. Are the next steps still clearly defined? Can I really conceptualize what I need to do next to really bring this to life? And lucrative. And again, I've mentioned this before, but lucrative doesn't have to be monetary, but there needs to be some payout for you. It needs to be worth it for you. And I think if it no longer resonates, if it doesn't empower you, if your next steps are not clear and you cannot break out your action plan, and it is no longer lucrative, it's time to throw in the towel. And you got to feel okay. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're moving on to something that will serve you better.
I love that. I've heard you talk about this before, and I really like it. And I think that maybe that's one of the keys too, when you feel like you're passionate about something and you want to create that passion into some sort of a business, is to make sure that you have that plan in place and you've looked at all those steps instead of just blindly going into it, because that's probably a way to fail as well. And I like too that lucrative doesn't necessarily mean money, because I think there are ways for us to feel a passion without not necessarily making money. So for me, I want my own health and wellness TV show. Do I want to have it on Rogers? Yeah, of course. But you know what? It's not there yet. So how do I fill that passion now? I do my Facebook Lives and I do interviews with people, and I found other ways to channel that passion and still get a lot out of it. Now the question for me personally is, when do I need to start earning money or not earning money to keep this going? I guess that's what you're talking about, right?
It's really, yeah, I mean, you've got to, the fact that it will be resonant and empowering and actionable is all well and good, and you want those things, but just because it resonates doesn't mean it's, paying the bills. And at the end of the day, if we're talking about a business goal, while money doesn't have to be and shouldn't necessarily be your only focus, it does need to be taken into consideration. And so at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, is this becoming detrimental? Is it harmful for my well-being, for my family? And if you feel that it is no longer sustainable and it is actually causing you more stress and anxiety than it is joy, then it's not putting dollars in your bank account, then it's time to revisit, is this something that's truly worth it as a
Yeah,
business adventure?
I'm saying hi to Heather Boyd. She says hi. I know you can't see the comments, but her says hi.
Hi, Heather.
So Sam, in terms of that, when you need to throw in the towel and be okay with that, maybe throw in the towel sounds really negative. Maybe when you need to make a conscious decision that it's not fulfilling all of your needs and meeting all of your needs, and it's time to move on to something else. Maybe it's a better way to think about it. But we all have down periods, right? So there might be a period when I get super down, like, oh my God, I've been trying to get this show going for so many years, and there are ups and downs, and sometimes just around the corner, there is something that's advantageous. There is something that's coming. Like, how do you know when is the point to say, now I need to move on? For how long do you keep going with those ups and downs?
I think it's so personal, and it will really vary journey to journey. But in the example of you and what you're trying to do with your TV show, I mean, you're just touching so many lives, and you're getting feedback, and there are signals if you are looking that you are on the right path. And that, I think, for any of us, if we, and this is a fine line, because I think if we look hard enough, we'll find signs that will prove or disprove either way, right?
But if the neighbor walks by with her dog in the next 5 minutes, I should keep going.
Right. You want to be realistic about it, for sure. But I mean, your audience and your end goal. And if the feedback is aligned and if your action plan is aligned, I think there's certainly still a worthwhile experience that you should be continuing to move forward on. I think what's really important is just keeping a pulse on, do I feel that this is filling my cup? Because if at the end of the day, this is a big dream and it is stressing me out that I'm not getting there and I'm not getting the feedback that I want, and I am, less hours and dollars because of it, and it is just draining, with all the right action planning and positive feedback, I mean, nothing will speak as loud as what you're trying to tell yourself. And so I think looking for external clues, explicit signals, but also implicit. If your gut is telling you to go, then there's still some fire in you. And if your gut is telling you, what, I need to slow down on this. We need to pump the brakes a little bit because it's been a long haul and I'm tired, then listen.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we were saying about how do you even find your passion. Part of it is just sitting still and listening to yourself, trusting your instinct, adapting. So sometimes maybe your vision of what you thought in the direction you should be going just needs to be tweaked a little bit. So I think it's important throughout the whole journey to sit down and check in, or even go the extra step and hire a coach like you to say, okay, I want to really understand this, because sometimes talking it out loud is helpful as well. Sam, you were talking about feedback. This is the last point I want to discuss, and then we'll wrap up because I know people need to get back to work. You were talking about feedback. How much do we listen to outside feedback? So if someone has a passion and they're pursuing it and turning it into a business, and people around them first are like, yeah, you can do it. And then eventually the people are saying, I don't think this idea is going to work. Like, how much do you listen? Because there is value in hearing other people's opinions, but like how much do you take it?
I'm someone who, I will really take feedback to heart, but I'm really mindful of who's providing it. And so it's really important that I'm surrounding myself with people who are offering A, constructive criticism, B, who I really, really trust and who I know have my best interests at heart. And so it gives me peace of mind knowing that, if they think that this is still a good idea in those moments where there are self-doubt, and I mean, there are inevitably those moments, then I can trust that they're not just tooting my horn, that they're not just friends and family saying, oh, you could do anything. You want to go to the moon, go for it. But that they genuinely believe in my ability to move forward. And so But those are the same people whose opinions I really take into consideration when they say, are you sure, this is where you want to go? Are you sure that this is a good move? You're looking really tired right now. Maybe you need a break. Those are the people who I know, because I trust them, because they have my best interest in mind, that I don't just dismiss it. Everyone else, I won't dismiss, but it doesn't carry the same weight. And so I try and see where are the common denominators? Is everyone else equally aligned with the people who I hold near and dear to my heart to give me trusted feedback? If yes, then okay, wake up and smell the roses. It's time to listen, personally anyway. But otherwise, if there is a discrepancy, then it really is back to tuning in to my own channel and kind of saying what feels right. And there's no better way to do that than to just slow down. Like you can't hear yourself when you've got all the clutter and so much noise around you. You've got to like take a step back.
Yeah, so we should all have our own board of directors. And if we have a business and a board of directors, we put different people with different backgrounds and different experiences on that board of directors. And I guess if we're good CEOs, we put people on there that will challenge us or maybe tell us truths that we don't want to hear. So we need our own board of directors in our life and trusted advisors. And I know, thank you, Sam, I've come to you before, and I know I can always count on you as well to give me the honest feedback, and I appreciate it. So Samantha, if anyone is interested in having a coach and helping you work through these passions, personally or professionally, of course, reach out to Samantha Kris. She also has a book called Bossing Up, which, by the way, keeps selling out, but you could probably find it on Amazon.
That's so cool. I'm actually I think it's just the greatest thing.
I know, it keeps selling out, but you can get it on Amazon, right?
Yes, and I also usually have my own stock that you can get through samanthakris.com/shop.
Okay, perfect. And also at Instagram, I think you're Samantha Kris 3 or something, right? Is that right?
Yep, that's it.
At Samantha Kris 3. Okay, so thanks, Sam, and maybe we can do this again on a different subject. Appreciate it.
Sounds awesome. Thanks, Steph.
Hey, have a good day.
Yeah, you too.